Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Sunday Service Podcast. I am your host, Sister Stephanie.
And I'm your host, Sister Sally.
And we are here again today in the comfort of my own home, which I really love nothing more than to just be home on my couch with my dogs around me in my element. And it feels really good. It's beautiful out. We feel really good. How are you feeling?
I feel really good today.
I
love being here. I don't know. I just it feels homey for me too.
Yeah, and it's like, it's what we do on a daily basis, or at least whenever we're together. Instead of it being, like we feel like we're on studio time, we're really just kind of hanging out at my apartment. So it feels good to be here. And we're really excited about this episode because the last time I put a little question box up on my Instagram, I had a ton of girls reach out and bring up this specific topic. And I have a lot to say about this topic. And it was one message specifically that I was like, oh, bitch, we got to talk about this, because it really seems like a lot of girls have a hard time with this. So we're going to get into a little bit of relationship etiquette in 2023 on social media platforms like Instagram and messaging girls, and when you're in a relationship, liking photos and the whole nine. So I just want to read you guys the message that someone anonymous had sent to me. So here we go. Without adding the first part in, she said, do you think you could make a comment on social media or your podcast of the use of social media in relationships, for example, relationship etiquette, or what it means if a man feels the need to validate other women while having a girlfriend? Maybe your thoughts on how a man should and shouldn't act online. I've been having this issue where my man follows girls that he meets at events and interacts by liking their photos, and I've deemed it so unnecessary and wrong to do, but I'm having trouble expressing myself properly so that my perspective can really get through to him. Okay, been there, done that.
Yeah.
And my initial response to this person was, obviously you're not alone. Like, I totally get what you're talking about and where you're coming from. And I think that your feelings should always be validated if you're in the right relationship. So if something is ever bothering you, or something, is bothering you to the point where you're digging on social media or like looking at things that you shouldn't be looking at, then it's enough of an issue for you to bring up and talk to your partner about. And I never think that you shouldn't be able to speak your mind about something that is bothering you. Like, I think that's always valid.
In a healthy relationship, like, anything you feel, you should be able to talk about, express, and your partner should be able to, like, either reassure you or give you some sort of like peace of mind on the subject without making you feel invalid in how you're feeling about it, right? So like any topic, whatever. But as far as this goes,
I think that there's a way to bring these things up, and obviously this is a touchy subject depending on what kind of relationship you're in, and I think it makes a lot of people very hot and like bothered and angry. And the way you want to approach this kind of situation is not with like anger or like ever telling your man or your partner like you can and cannot do certain things. Because if there's one thing about men, I find they don't want to be mothered and they don't want to be policed and clocked and told what they can and cannot do. So that for me was like rule number one. And hi, baby. And I think that, because I've been in this situation too before where I've seen things that I didn't really like, but then I also have to try to talk myself out of it and be like, okay, bitch, it's social media. Like, this isn't real. It's kind of like flipping through a magazine. But then at the end of the day, if something's bothering you and you don't like it, then I think that your feelings should be valid and you should be able to speak about that with your partner. So if you find yourself like digging and looking and just spiraling, like, that's obviously not a good thing. So the first thing you can do is bring it up to your boyfriend and be like, hey, babe, I just want to let you know that I peeped that you're on so-and-so's post and it doesn't sit well with me. I don't like it. I know how girls think, because I think at the end of the day, like, yeah, maybe it doesn't matter. And especially I think if someone has tons of followers and they're not even going to notice that your crusty man is liking their posts, like, really, like, it's not the biggest deal. Like, maybe it's annoying because they're like sexual photos and it's the opposite of like who you are. That could be very triggering. But, you know, at the same time, it's like the girl is probably not noticing your man, oh my goodness, on her post. But if it's someone in your close circle or someone that you know loosely and they might notice that, I do believe that it is inappropriate, especially if it's like someone they met or someone that they messed with in their past. Like, you should totally bring that up if it's bothering you. And if their response isn't to reassure you and be like, okay, like, I totally accept that, you know, this is something that I have to change my actions and I need to not act this way. But, you know, we have to like meet each other halfway. You can't like set rules but you can set boundaries.
Yeah, for sure. I think like obviously two factors of like what your partner does for work, if it's in social media involved, then like, you know, obviously engagement is important. So like we know that, but what we're really getting at is like the boundaries of like what's appropriate and what's not. So like, I think, I mean, I've definitely been there where in my past relationship where social media was an issue 1000% of the time. Like
that was like most of the issues. Ugh, so
and
exhausting.
Like, and you know, Snapchat was like the main thing. And I always say Snapchat's for drug dealers and cheaters. And I like still stand by that. So,
I stand on
you
that
can
too.
quote me, so I don't care. But in that relationship, I was extremely insecure with the way that he would move on social media, like whether it be hard eyes in the comments or even just liking pictures of girls with like their asses out and whatever, when he wasn't involved in social media whatsoever. It was for his own personal like thing and gain. So like it was only for some sort of thirst. I'll just say thirst.
Validation, attention.
Yeah,
seeking.
like attention seeking, whatever, trying to get maybe attention from that person. So to me, that's 100% absolutely no. Like I won't tolerate it ever again. In my current relationship, that's not a thing. And in my current relationship, my boyfriend is in social media as his work, and he comments on females' pictures all the time, but that there's a difference between like a fire emoji on what the person's saying or like some hard eyes or something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, and it's, you know, I know his intentions behind it. Whereas in my past relationship, the intentions were not pure. They were not for financial gain. They were solely just for attention. So like, you have to kind of ask yourself too, like, what is my man doing commenting on these girls' pictures? Is it because he's networking, or is he kind of thirsting for some attention?
Yeah.
And then that gets a little bit deeper into the topic, because then there's probably a little bit of a crack in the relationship of what's going on, you know? And we just have to be like honest with ourselves. And normally, like if you have a gut feeling about something like that, you're probably not wrong, you know? And they always say your red flags come from your gut. Like if you have that pit in your stomach, like that's a red flag, you know?
Absolutely.
So
I think it's also about like knowing who you're dating first, you know, because this is a boundary that could be set really early. I don't know. I think my dog is broken today. I'm so sorry, guys. Just, you know, another thing about filming at home. Oh my God, this is crazy. Boishki. Again, about knowing who you're dating. This is nuts. Oh my God.
yeah, you
Do you guys mind if I throw him in the room really quick?
go for it.
So, Steph is putting the dog away. She's having a little tea break. Today's episode is sponsored by your boy Aiden Snell, Snell Productions. If any of you are looking for podcast episodes, looking to take your brand to the next level, babe,
You.
you know what to do.
By the way, that's my boyfriend.
Oh yeah, I'm Sally's boyfriend.
Nice introduction.
Back to what I was saying. I think knowing who you're dating before you get into a relationship, and obviously in the beginning of a relationship is when you kind of find out all of these things. Like, you're not going to know how your man moves in the first week or month, you know, as a whole. You learn these things as time goes on. So obviously you pick up on some red flags along the way, but if something is bothering you, you're so much better off addressing it with, like, you know, calm energy and just saying that, like, I want us to be on the same page and I want you to know, like, if I'm not okay with something, like, I just need you to respect that. And guess what? If your man doesn't respect that, he's not the
probably
one
not
for
the
you.
one, yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't think that that's something that's really that crazy to ask for. I think it becomes crazy when you start putting, you know, rules on your man and drawing, like,
You can't do this. You're not allowed to do this. That's not.
right. That's when they
Not-
start, you know,
yeah.
getting defensive and they want to, like, run for the hills. And sometimes it makes them want to do it more.
Well, and like one thing too, like in a healthy relationship, you know, you see all this shit all over Instagram, wherever. Like, you want to be your man's peace, not like his headache.
Right.
You know, so he doesn't want to like come home or like meet up with you for a date and be like dreading, like, what are you gonna say next about
Right.
like what he's doing, you know?
Right. Like the nagging. And, you know, that doesn't get us anywhere. But I also do think, and the more that I've thought about this over the last week since I got this last message, I think that we also need to kind of hold ourselves accountable. Like, if we're the ones posting super sexy content and putting ourselves out there and showing our booty cheeks or whatever you guys want to do on social media, then you're kind of setting a double standard if you're going to tell your man to now not, you know, do or move the way he wants to move on social media, because you're getting all of this attention, all of this male and female attention, and you might not look at it that way, but that's, you know, that's a lot for him too. So we have to be fair and, like, not make these boundaries so unrealistic. If you're the one who's also putting out this, like, persona and energy on social media and you don't want him to behave a certain way, then you have to kind of look at the way that you're behaving
Right.
and maybe, like, clean it up a little bit.
I mean, there is something to say about like giving attention versus getting attention, but like that is blurring it a little bit, you know?
yeah, no, I
when
just
you're-
think it's a little, yeah, it's just, it makes it a little bit more taboo. Like, it's like, I don't know if you have the right when you're putting out, like, things, you know, even posting your, because especially, like, out here in Miami, like, there's a lot of girls just uploading videos of their straight ass. And I know a lot of them have boyfriends. And I always think, like, yeah, like, you know, to each their own. I don't care what anyone does, but how does that make him feel? You
Right.
know what I mean?
Well, and yeah. And like, I think like it also depends on when you got into the relationship. So did they start dating you when you were already full blown into that? Or did it start happening later? Like,
Yeah.
you know, obviously these are all factors in it. Me personally, I keep it pretty like clean on my Instagram. I respect my man 24/7, you know, like I'm not going to blur the boundary. I'm going to keep that line like very clear, you
Right.
know? And that's just because I have respect for him, and that's that. It's not that I don't want to post like, you know, me in my bikini, because I do, but it's just here and there, and it's like very wholesome,
Right.
in the sense of like,
I guess that's not to say that if you do these certain things that you don't have respect for your man. Like, every relationship is different, but that's why you need to figure these things out, like, in the beginning of your relationship, and figure out who you're really dating and see what you're cool with and what you're not cool with, and
Yeah.
vice versa. Because relationships are a two-way street. Like, we can't just, like, want our man and want our partners to do all of these things, and then us, you know, we can get a little slack. Like, no, like, these things are mutual. So I think if you're putting rules down and boundaries and you don't want him to like or comment on certain people's photos, that should absolutely be validated, but you should also act accordingly too.
Yeah. I think then that's a conversation that you both have to have with each other. Like, what is the boundaries on both sides?
Has to be a conversation. You can't expect him to know what's bothering you if you just don't say anything about it. And the more you look and the more you hunt and the more you scope and try to like find shit to be mad at, the worse you're gonna make your situation. So if something's bothering you, address that shit from the jump and address it in a way where you're coming like, hey, I love you. I just really don't like this. It makes me feel uncomfortable. And if you're with the right man, I'm going to say this again, then he will respect the way that you feel.
And he'll reassure you and put your mind at ease. And then you'll feel more safe and comfortable addressing other things in life. And like, you know, I'll bring it back to my past relationship where anything that I addressed was
A problem?
a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I felt even more like stupid for asking or saying, or like it was like always an excuse, or like you're being crazy, or like whatever, she's my friend, or like whatever it was never him
Like validating.
validating how I felt. And most of the time it would turn into an argument. And then most of the time it would spiral out of control into a very abusive situation.
Right.
And, you know, again, abuse doesn't have to be physical. It can be mental, verbal, emotional. So like if any of these topics like cause a spiral like that, like you need to like take a step back and like kind of look at what type of relationship you're in. And, you know, if you're really desiring a life partner, somebody to like grow a life with and be with long-term, healthy, peacefully, like not only does it take work in the sense of like having these uncomfortable conversations, but it also takes work on yourself on how you're going to react, how you're going to address it. Like I'm not going to come to my man right now and be like, who the fuck are you messaging on Instagram? No, I'm going to say, hey babe, who is that?
Yeah.
And he's going to say, he's going to literally give me his phone and show me
Yeah.
that it's work. And like, then I'm going to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like I literally have his password. I could look at his phone if I wanted to, but I don't want to because he doesn't give me a reason to want to,
Right.
you know?
Yeah,
So,
and it's also like once you open that book of worms, like once you start looking, girl,
yeah.
you just opened yourself into a whole nother part of your relationship that you probably shouldn't have gotten yourself into. And if you are there, it's just a reflection of like, how did you get yourself there, you know?
I'll tell you a story too. Remember when I lost my phone? I talked about that last week. And I told you guys I only had my boyfriend around me for like most of the time. And there was a point in time where I wanted to go work out and he had to keep working. And he literally gave me his phone to take to the gym and listen to music.
Period.
So like, you know, and I will tell you, I stopped in the gym for a second. I was like,
I could.
I could if I wanted to. I even told him later.
But I feel like him just leaving you with his phone like
Makes you
gives
not want to.
Yeah, but that also like lets you know like you have nothing to worry about.
You have nothing to worry about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I'm telling you, everybody can have a relationship like that. Like, if
Yeah.
you're thinking like, oh, yeah, well, maybe you guys are like that or he's like that. But no, there's plenty of people out there that are wanting and willing to have something like that.
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
because the alternative is exhausting.
Yeah.
Like I remember even, and this was years ago before social media was what it is now. Like I remember with my ex, and this is a long time ago. Like I don't even want to dig back into my memory that far. But I remember like kind of watching the, you know, whoever's posts he was liking and getting annoyed by it and then wanting to look. And it was just this whole thing. And no matter how many times I did tell him that it bothered me, even if I came, you know, straight up and, you know, without a nasty tone, he still was defensive and not willing to like do what I needed him to do to make me feel better. And no shit, he was,
You were the problem in it.
well, yeah, and he was just not the right person for me.
Yeah.
You know, if you are asking for something that to me, that's like the bare minimum. Like if it comes down to social media and setting boundaries that like really trigger you, like if that is something that your partner can't like make you feel better about, then you should really, really, really consider the relationship that you're in and figure out if this is going to be worth it or not, because you will spend years, months, years like making yourself sick over things that are really not supposed to be a big deal. And to have it be a big deal in your relationship is just not, it's not productive. Who wants that?
Well, and like, so the best, I always say this, and trust me, I never used to talk like this, but I do now because healing journey, yay me. But the best way to like teach your partner or your friends, anybody, any relationship really, is to like how to love you and how to treat you is to lead by example. So if I'm acting out on Instagram or I'm doing certain things that, you know, may or may not bother my partner, or let's say I'm not answering my phone when I'm out with my friends, or just little things like that. And if my partner turns around and does the same thing, and for me to get mad at him would be me being like hypocritical, you know what I mean? So the way that I show my boyfriend how to like treat me, even though I don't really have to show him, but is I keep those boundaries even without him asking,
Right.
you know? Cause then he's like, he's confident in himself. Like I could be out with my girls all night. I could be at some other dude's table in the club and he could care less because he already knows if he calls, I'm going to text him back, or you know what I mean? Like I'm not going to ignore him. Like if he says he wants me to come over because he wants to see me, I'm going.
That's how you know you have like a
You know?
partnership, though. is
Yeah.
when you guys are both making the same efforts. Like when one is doing so much and the other is doing so little or enough to bother you or hurt you, like it's not a partnership. It's just not. It's
Well,
a
and it's just
one-way
like
street.
the little things, you know, like the teeny things that you can. And I am going to go here a little bit. Like us as women, we're like nurturers, like, right? We're here to nurture, to, you know, we have motherly tendencies, like, and I'm not sitting here saying we need to like baby our men and like teach them things, but like when it comes to love and emotion, like they are not wired like we are. So we do have to kind of like lead that, you know, and to have a healthy emotional relationship, like, and spiritually as well, you do have to lead that with your partner so that he can lead you in the relationship in all the other areas.
Right.
Because they just were not built that way.
I don't want to say dumb it down a little, but sometimes you got to dumb it down a little. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like,
Stroke their ego a little bit.
yeah, and
make
that's
them feel
but that's
good.
just like the difference of men and women.
Yeah.
You know, like we're really so different. So we
Yeah.
can't expect them to just read our minds. That's never gonna happen. That's something I learned in my relationship now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I could think that he like knows what I'm thinking or what I'm bothered at or what I've been bothered at in the past, but like he's not gonna know unless I tell him. And like it doesn't benefit me to bottle that up and like get more angry about it or like spew on it or like make it a bigger thing than it needed to be and then
Walk
all of a sudden
around the
blow
house.
up. Yeah, with attitude and then
Like,
that's the
yeah,
last thing that he
slamming
fucking wants.
cabinets,
Yeah,
like, you
or just,
know.
you know, the God forbid you give him attitude. I've been in those situations and it's not fun. And again, like as far as your man having relationship etiquette and like going out of his way and liking photos or responding to stories, like
unacceptable.
I just don't think it's appropriate. I don't.
No.
If you want to know my actual
Fuck
opinion
that.
on it, I don't think I think neither of us think that that's appropriate. I don't think it's necessary. Why go out looking and fishing if you have everything that you need?
Personally,
home.
that's grounds for termination for me.
Yeah, me
like,
too.
We're done.
Well, listen, like I said, in the beginning of a relationship, you don't know how your boyfriend or girlfriend is going to act. So, you know, you have to set those boundaries. But if you set those boundaries and they break
Continue?
those boundaries,
Yeah.
like it's really not okay, you know, because that, you know, it does matter. And I think as females, we know how other females kind of look at things. Like I've been in a situation in the past where my boyfriend was liking someone's photos who I know he was involved with in the past. And that killed me. Like, that really bothered me. It actually made me sick to my stomach, like peeing out of my ass.
Yeah.
And I could have not said anything about it and just like clocked what he was doing, but like that made me sick and that wasn't fun. And who the fuck wants to do that?
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I like have like anger towards him. Like, why would I want that? We're living together and we're in a relationship. Like, I never want that. So I had to have the conversation and be like, you know, I saw this. It makes me wildly uncomfortable, and I never want you to make me look a certain way because I know how bitches think. And she's probably sitting over there being like, he's liking my shit, but he's with her. What does that mean, you know? And not every girl thinks like that, because I'll tell you one thing, I do not. If your man is liking my shit, girl, I'm not looking. I do not care. I do not want your man. But there are some girls that fucking do.
Yeah.
And not, maybe they don't want them, but they like the
The
attention.
attention, yes.
And that's just so whack. And I think another thing, like just in general and the tone of our podcast is like, we're here to be sisters, yo. Like, if you're a female that's not trying to be supportive of other women and like, you know, making us just all like feel less alone and more like understood and less crazy and stuff, then that's what we need to be doing. Because
Yeah, I mean, like, I can say, like, that's another thing where you need to lead by example. Like, if a man is in your DMs or commenting on your pictures and you're liking it, or you're messaging back like, haha, thanks, or like a heart face, like, no, like, shut it down, because that's disrespectful to your man. You're
Right.
entertaining. And if the man has a girlfriend, the first response I have is, don't you have a girlfriend?
Right.
Like, you need to check this stuff.
forget it, like, girlfriend, what if you're married? You know,
Yeah.
of course that shit's gonna bother you.
So like and that's the thing is, like, I think with this whole topic is like, if you want safety, security, and reassurance, love, peace in your relationship, you need to practice that in all areas.
Right.
So if you want a man who wants a wife, act like a wife.
Yeah.
Like, period. Sorry. I mean, I might hurt some feelings in what I'm saying, but like, I know a lot of females, some are in my life, and you move weird. And you sit here and you say you want a man, a husband, and somebody to take care of you, but you're out here frolicking the fucking city with man after man after man. You think a man can't sniff that out?
Right. Yeah.
So like, if you want respect as a woman and to be looked at as a potential wife, you need to act as such.
Yeah, because what you give out, you will get in. That will come to you for sure. Like, before I met Johnny, I was at a place in my life where I could not be bothered with fuck shit. Like, if I knew that I was gonna be involved in anyone's bullshit, I was running for the hills. And that's not to say that the beginning of our relationship was perfect. You know, sometimes you meet people at certain times in their life or certain times in your life where not everything is fizzled out or whatever, so things might still become an issue or whatever. But, you know, I had zero tolerance for that from the beginning. So if I wasn't clear straight off the bat and it took a couple of things to happen for those things to get clear, fine. But we're not doing this shit over and over again. I'm not going to say I'm not okay with something and then you shit on me and then me be okay with it again. Maybe one time, but 2 strikes you're out in my book. Like, I can't, because that's just going to allow me to now spiral and pick up tendencies that I don't want to pick up. Like, I have enough shit to worry about. You think I want to be fucking looking at who you're liking and like searching people's likes, or like, you know, wanting to look through your phone all the time? Like, I don't.
Yeah, no.
And I don't think anyone does. How does your stomach feel when you're looking through your man's phone?
Yeah.
Probably not good.
I like am so thankful that I don't even have that desire in my current relationship. And I will tell you, like, when I'm not over here saying like don't go date around or whatever if you're single, and like, I'm just saying, like, if like you truly want these specific things in your life as far as a partner goes, you need to have them as a quality of yourself first. Totally. Like, and I'll dumb it down a little bit more. Like, if you, let's just say like one of your requirements for a man is, oh, I want him to be super fit. And you're not in the gym a day in your life.
Right.
Like, good luck finding a man who's fit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I
So
totally agree with
if
that.
you are out here hoeing around,
How can you
sleeping
expect-
around,
yeah.
going on a date with a different guy every night, even if you did cross paths with your husband, he smelt that shit from a mile away. So basically, like, all I'm trying to say is, you know, the only people that we have control over, the only things we have control over is ourselves. So if you desire something in your life, peace, love, happiness, all that, you need to have it within yourself first.
I also think when it comes to social media, acknowledging the way that we treat it and the way that we look at it and spend time on it, and this goes back to our last episode, really like holds the most weight, because if you look at it as just a social platform and it's not that serious, then you're going to save yourself a lot of headache. But if you're like spending way too much time on it and you're digging daily and you're just like doing too much extra shit, you're going to find yourself in those situations a lot more often than someone who's distracted. And, you know, maybe it just means that you need to get busy doing other things, and that's fine. But like, that's why we need to check ourselves when we are on our social media platforms a little bit too much, because it's not good for us. Like, look at how crazy it makes us sometimes.
Yeah.
And no one feels good like bitching about your man liking someone's photos. Like, it doesn't feel good.
No.
But it also doesn't feel good to see that stuff. So that's valid too. And I just want to add that if your man is responding to you putting in this request as it's just social media, it's not that serious, he's gaslighting you, and it is that serious. If it bothers you, period, he should respect that. And I want to leave this podcast off on that note, because that's going to be my response to anyone who messages me saying that they have a problem and they're dealing with this in their relationship. If you're dealing with anything in your relationship and it's bothering you, and you address it in a calm manner with the, you know,
Respect.
with respect for your partner and also respect for yourself, like, hey, listen, I'm letting you know that something's bothering me and I don't want to feel this way and I want us to be good. Like, if you get a bad response from that, again, red flag. But if they do say, okay, I understand how that was bothering you and I didn't look at it that way, even though you still want to punch him in the face because how could you be so stupid? You know, he should,
stupid.
right. He should validate you, and he should be able to say, okay, I will do better and I will make sure that I'm not doing things that hurt you.
That's the response right there. If you're getting anything that is making you feel worse, bad.
Yeah, girl. I think at that point, it's time to do a little bit of reflecting on your relationship and figure out if this is something you want to deal with long term. Because I'll tell you one thing, social media is not going anywhere. And this whole thing is probably just going to get worse.
Yeah.
We're leading into the metaverse and AI and some really crazy, scary shit. And all I'm telling you right now is to hold on, wear your fucking seatbelt, because we're in for a really crazy, wild journey. And, you know, we're here for you and we're here for each other. So
Yeah.
let's cap
Absolutely.
it there. And if you guys have any questions or any comments on this episode, you want to know a little bit more, or maybe hear a little bit more of our experiences, please let us know. Please let us know in the comments. And we will see you guys next Sunday.
Thank you.